Right, if you are a member of the Archvillain Games Patreon, then you will already be aware of this BattleRune. It is a skirmish war game which has been designed to use their miniatures, both the fantasy and also sci-fi. Essentially, it's the same game with modifications, changes to reflect sci-fi or fantasy gaming. And this is now alpha version 4.9 at the time of recording. Now, because it's alpha, I have to actually contact Archvillain to sort of see what I can show you guys and whether I can actually do a battle report, which is my plan. But I've been reading through these rules recently since, since I've been looking for content for the channel. And I kind of want to do this. I kind of want to do BattleRune. Especially, I mean, fantasy, we all know how good their fantasy models are. But their sci-fi, now their science fiction models are... It's got me excited. But the thing is, if I want to do, like I say, if I want to run some games of BattleRune and feature it on the channel, I'm going to have to print out, again, I apologize for the glare. I'm going to have to print out some skirmish forces for the factions they've released so far. Now, here's the problem. Archvillain Games love their big models. They love having these crazy big models, which in itself is not a bad thing. They're amazing. They're brilliant. But for me, storage is going to be a problem. And like I say, some of these things are huge. That's when I thought, well, what about if I did it in 15 mil? What if I scaled the models down 50%? Would they still be good enough to reflect AVG's design? Would they still be usable in resin in terms of not every sword breaking the first time you see it, at that scale in use for a game? Because the thing is, at 15 mil, I think I can build all these big nasties that are part of these sets. Because you've got to have some of these big nasties, because Archvillain Games don't, when they release their miniature sets every month, they don't include a lot of small miniatures. I've got to be honest. If you're planning on doing a large scale sci-fi or fantasy game, Archvillain are not going to give you all the miniatures you need, because they don't do a lot in terms of variety, in terms of troop size. Like, for example, here with this set here, I think you've got 5 of this troop, 5 of that troop, 5 of the jetpacks, and that's it. But they're perfect for skirmish, or maybe supplementing another manufacturer's. I mean, one-page rules, brilliant, amazing models, and there's enough there for large-scale games. But Archvillain, I think, is designed more for skirmish or to supplement other brands, a more mass sort of printing from other manufacturers. But they make some really nice big models, but I just don't have the storage. So I'm thinking 15 mil, so scaled down about 50%, and we'll see whether I can use them, whether I can print them first, whether I can paint them, and whether they'll be good for games. Now, like I say, I'm going to have to contact Archvillain and see whether we can actually cover some games on the channel. Because like I say, at the moment it's in alpha, so I'm a little bit worried that they may not want videos just yet. But maybe with enough not finished product, things will change. If I add that sort of thing regularly enough in the video, they may be okay with it. To make it very clear that it's an alpha set, nowhere near the finished product. But I think doing some videos with the alpha set, I think could increase the excitement. Yeah? That's the plan. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go sci-fi first. I mean, I've printed out a bunch of their fantasy already, but I want to do the sci-fi first. I'm thinking of printing out 2 small or starter warbands first. Demon Star the Reckoning. I'm going to do a warband of these guys. And this one, the Gault Clan. Okay, when was this? This was their second sci-fi set. So when would that have been? February, maybe? I can't remember. But this is their current sci-fi set on Patreon. At the time of recording, it's nearly the end of the month, but this is their May Patreon. I think it will be May, June. I think this is the June release for everybody who's not a Patreon. So that's the plan. So I'm going to do a warband of Demon Star Reckoning. I'm going to do a warband for the Galt clan, and we're going to see how it goes at 50%, at 15 mil scale. And then if it works, and if I like it, I'm probably going to do a warband for the other two factions as well. I think there's others as well. I think there's the Dead Man, like Imperial Guard. I think there's also the first one, which is more like the Space Dwarves, what's the GW thing, Leagues of Voltan or whatever. Yeah, I wasn't too impressed by that one, I've got to be honest. But everything else since has really attracted me. So let's see how we do. We're going to try these two first, 15 mil. And then if it works, we'll do these two. Right, let's... Now, you get pre-supports, you get unsupported. I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen, but I'm going to try the pre-supports first. So let me collect all the pre-support files for the figures I need. Add maybe some other supports just in case, and we'll print those and see what happens. And then after that, if it doesn't work, I will take the unsupported files and support them myself. What could go wrong? I know what's going to happen with the pre-supports. I pretty much know what's going to happen, but I want to try it anyway, just in case. Right, let's get printed. Okay, so I have two 3D printers. I have the Halo 1 by Creality. I also have the Halo 1 Plus, also from Creality. And the first test, I basically had models on both printers. The Devastator here I put on the Halo 1, all its parts. And then I had 7 other minis with their bases on the Halo 1 Plus. Now, all but these two basically didn't print. They just didn't stick to the supports. The supports were just hair thin. And again, I've learned this now. From test A, I've learned do not scale down pre-supported minis. Ain't gonna work. Especially when you scale down 50% like I've done. But 2 did amazingly survive. Now, I did actually add a few extra supports when I did this because I knew they weren't going to survive. But even with the few extra supports I added, most of them didn't. But I've ended up with three models from the first test using the pre-supports. Again, don't do. We got here, this is the Amari Chaos Breed Devastator. Now again, remember, this is at 50% scale, so you can imagine how big this thing is at full scale. It is a beast. It really is a beast. Now this one printed fine because I did add a lot of other supports. And it seemed to have done the job because I knew that these things were going to be kind of heavy. Each of the parts was pretty much the size of a normal miniature anyway, so I kind of put a lot of supports on this. The other one, this is so let's see if I can say it right, an Amari Druraka Rider, Beast Riders, cybernetic Beast Rider things. His horns did break off while I was doing the supports. Again, his foot broke off as well as I was doing the supports, so I need to sculpt or find a way to put another foot on there, just there. But yeah, came out really, really nice. The third one, again, which is really surprising because I don't think I added that many extra supports to these, but this guy did survive. He is one of the heavy infantry bods and his base. Now, I did actually get, I think, 3 or 4 of these bases to actually print. But yeah, that's pretty nice, the way they did it. So yeah, these were the only successful prints off of 2 printers. This guy took up 1 printer by himself, all the parts. And again, if you print it full scale, you'll have to do a number of prints because the parts are just so bloomin' big. But at 50% scale, at 15 mil scale, you can basically fit him onto the Halo 1, which doesn't have a big build plate. But the other printer, the Halo 1 Plus, basically had the Headhunter, 4 heavy infantry, and 2 of these Drurucker riders. But this is all that printed out. So I've learned from this, do not print scaled down pre-supported figures. Use unsupported and add your own supports. Right, here we have all the models that we got from our second test print, along with the survivors of the first attempt. I did have an extra couple. I think these two bases also were in the first attempt. So again, these are the ones where I used the unsupported miniatures and I added supports by myself. And because they're so small, they're so tiny. Because they're so small, you only need to use light supports. I did actually, for these guys, I did actually use 1 medium on each foot, just in case, you know. But yeah, in the apart from, like, for example, like 1 or 2 mediums on the feet or the bottom parts, it was all light supports, and it worked well. I mean, everything came out. I did have 3 little problems with these 2. What were these things called? The Gult Slogs. Yeah, with these 2 miniatures I had problems, but it was more removing the supports. This guy here, let's get it. Okay, so for this guy here, the claws on his left hand all broke off while I was removing the supports. They were just so thin. So I've got to try and figure out a way to kit bash, sculpt, or do something with that hand, because you're supposed to have something like a power fist. But yeah, this is one of the larger models, so this one I wasn't really concerned too much about. With the other Gult Slag, whatever they're called, for this one, a couple of his toes broke off. A couple of his toes broke off on his left foot, again, as I was removing the supports. Again, it's going to happen at times. But again, really nice models. Now, the third problem I had was, again, not through the casting, but actually not through the printing, but actually through removing supports. And I broke a leg off. This is the rider. The second, come on, focus. There you go. The second Amari or Demon Star Drurucker rider. So this is the rider for the second one that I printed, and yeah, his leg broke off. It's not focusing, is it? Yeah, this broke off when I was actually, again, removing support, so I've got to fix that back on. Not too concerned about the missing toes. This one I can easily fix, not a problem, but I don't know, I've got to try and figure out something for the left fist of this guy. Now, like I say, it was successful. So I'm considering doing the other factions now. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a picture of their... which one should we do? Let's do the Demon Star. I think this was their second Sci-Fi release. So this is a picture of their Demon Star release, the group photo. Yeah. And here is one with all the names. Now, looking at this picture doesn't give you any kind of true scale in terms of how big these things are compared to the other models. I printed, welcome back, I printed all these models at 50% scale. So they're between, I mean, the sort of standard infantry models, like this this Demon Star Heavy. Come on, focus. Focus you get, come on. There you go. This Demon, why is he not focusing? Come on. This Demon Star Heavy Infantry guy is, I don't know, between 15 and 18 mil in terms of height, in terms of scale. Now, you can now imagine how, this is in 15 mil scale. This is about, like I say, these are all scaled down 50%. Now you imagine, okay, this is 50% scale. This is how big this Devastator is. Now if I put that same heavy infantry model next to him, now again focus. Okay, so this is the little guy. This is a human scale model. approximate human scale, 15 mil. Can you imagine how big this thing's going to be if you print it out 100%? Jesus. Look at the size difference. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, in terms of resin, of course, you're going to save a lot of resin. But my main concern was, storage space. Where am I going to put all these figures once I've built them all and painted them all? Painting is going to be another thing. It's going to be a lot easier to paint this than the full scale one. Obviously, at this kind of scale, again, this is one of the, I think this is one of the, what are they called? The Gult Kerns. So, I mean, at this scale, you're not going to get all the lovely detail that you find on Archvillain Games. You've got a decent amount. There's a hole there. I don't know if that hole was part of the design or whether it's a misprint. But you're not going to get the same level of design as you would if you're printing these at 100%. Yeah, but they still look good for 15s. They still look really good for 15s. So yeah, overall, a successful print. Now what I'm going to do is try and fix the problems down here with these three. I'm going to base all the models. Okay, so yeah, this is the rider, and this is his doggy, which he's going to be riding. This thing here, claws go there, that goes there. Is it going to focus? Yeah. So this is the second of the riders. The first of these riders actually worked on the first print. This one. So this is the first one of these I printed out. Second one's nearly ready. So yeah, I'm gonna fix, I'm gonna base and prime. Another thing is that, as it's kind of par for the course for me, is I added way too many supports. I was trying to support every little island, every little part of the model, and I've got to be honest, it was a pain taking those supports off. It took me so long to take off the supports because there was just so many, and I had to be really gentle. For example, like with this guy, with his sword. I put, if I remember correctly, I put like 4 supports on his sword to make sure that it wouldn't break. And it was so hard to get the supports off. I didn't appreciate how small these things are, especially the infantry. And I should have done a lot less supports. Because like I say, it was a real pain in the backside to take the supports off. The Headhunter. Yeah, the Amari Headhunter. This is probably what I may use to be their leader in BattleRune. And again, it's a lot bigger than I expected, to be honest. Again, let's compare him with one of the light infantry Demon Star figures. One of his troops. There you go. You see how bloody big he is. Again, you look at the picture that they send you, the group picture, and you really don't appreciate how big they are. But yeah, this guy, he's kind of near a sort of normal human size, 28 mil or whatever, or 25 mil. But again, I just added way too many supports, and I've got a bit of cleaning up to do. There's a little bit of roughness where the supports joined. And it was actually really hard getting the supports off because they were all clumped together into big chunks. I didn't leave space between the support branches and stuff. So yeah, two lessons learned from this experiment. One, don't print rescaled pre-supports when they're small. Yeah, if you're rescaling down to 15 mil, do not use the pre-supports. That's the first lesson I've learned. The second lesson is you don't need half as many supports as you think, and trying to support every single island, every little bit, is it's an easy path to madness. It took me ages to support each of these when it shouldn't have done, because like I say, Archvillain Games, their miniatures are really detailed, and there was a lot of islands. It didn't matter what degree I was inclining the model at. There was just so many islands, and I was trying to support each one, and honestly, it just wasn't worth it. I should have used half the supports, and then maybe cleaned the printer, the resin tray afterwards. I mean, I tend to do that anyway if I know pieces have come off. If little pieces have come off in the vat, then I normally use the clean feature. My Creality printers do have a cleaning function. So I should have just done that. I should have just done for the major islands only, reduced the number of supports. We'd have made it a hell of a lot easier to take off. I mean, there was like 99% light supports anyway. So it should have been easy to remove, but it was absolutely a nightmare because they all clumped together when I was supporting every little bit. So, 2 lessons learned.